what's going on, No Nation? CJ Wilson here with DoakTalk. This is the last weekend of official visits for the month of June, and this is the biggest one for FSU by far. Visits started on Friday. They're concluding today on Sunday. We're going to go through the list of guys that are on campus just to give you guys a scope of some of the official visits, some big-time names for sure. Mike Norvell made this the biggest weekend of the summer for a reason. FSU is putting a lot of chips in their basket in regards to this weekend. We'll go ahead and jump into the names and get them covered. First off, we're going to start with the offensive line, probably the most important position unit on the team, on a football team by far, right? It's a star-studded event in Tallahassee with 3 5-stars on campus. We'll jump into the first one. 5-star offensive lineman and FSU commit Solomon Thomas. He is on campus for his official visit out of Jacksonville, Florida Reigns. It's been a lot of interesting conversations around this recruitment for Solomon Thomas. He officially visited UF and LSU. University of Miami is involved as well. It's been kind of smoke about him flipping possibly, but I didn't really hear anything after his University of Florida or LSU visit. So I do think FSU is in a good spot to lock up his commitment this weekend and to sure things up. I know Coach Alex Atkins is giving everything, as far as, what it's like to be coached by him. And of course, just the full scope of being an FSU student athlete and getting an official visit, seeing Tallahassee for what it is. So yeah, I do like where FSU stands currently with Solomon Thomas. We will see if this weekend was enough for him to shut down his commitment. Another 5-star offensive lineman, Josh Petty, 6'4", 262 pounds out of Georgia. His recruitment is down to FSU, of course, Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Stanford. I really like where FSU stands with Josh Petty. I think they're going to end up getting his commitment once he announces it, whatever that date will be, which I think it will be over the summer. But FSU's in a very good spot. This official visit should be able to secure things and get things in and put things in perspective, I should say, for Josh Petty. It is rumored, not necessarily rumored, but it is rumored that he wants to go to school and go to the same school, or go to the same college, rather, that his sister goes to. And Josh Petty's sister is set to enroll in FSU over the summer. So again, I think Alex Atkins and Coach Norvell has done a hell of a job in this recruitment and pitching their pitch for Josh Petty. I think it's going to pay off whenever he announces his commitment. The 5-stars keep rolling in, right, on offensive linemen. So like I said, Coach Alex Atkins is doing a hell of a job this weekend for the offensive linemen. 3 5-stars on campus. Ty Haywood, the 6'5", 285 offensive tackle out of Denton, Texas. His recruitment is down to Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. He will be on campus for his official visit. This is his second visit to FSU. He took an unofficial visit during the spring and was kind of blown away by the visit. I do think Alabama may be the leader for Ty Haywood at this point in time. We will see after this official visit, was FSU able to make up some ground in this recruitment and maybe, have a puncher's chance in regards to land it whenever he does announce. We want to stick with the offensive line again, and also Texas specifically. Lamont Rodgers, this kid here is the prototype offensive tackle. 6'6", 311 pounds, 4-star kid, a top 50 player out of Texas as well. His recruitment is down to Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and SMU. Again, FSU is doing a good job in Texas and kind of getting their foot in the door with Texas. We'll see if they can shut things down and actually close that door and possibly land a commitment from these type of kids. But again, Lamont Rodgers is another big-time offensive tackle, offensive lineman rather, but offensive tackle for sure. That'll be on campus. The last offensive lineman we're going to talk about for this weekend, Peyton Joseph. 4-star offensive lineman from Georgia. We've been talking about this kid a multitude of times. If you guys remember, he was previously committed to the University of Florida, decommitted from the Gators, and ended up, not necessarily, let's back up a little bit. He decommitted from the Gators after spending the majority of spring on FSU campus. He was a visitor for a multitude of times. Hell, I thought the kid ended up moving on campus and moved to Tallahassee, to be quite honest with you. It was one visit to where he was staying on campus for pretty much, I think, the entire week. So I think FSU is a very good spot to get the commitment for Peyton Joseph whenever he announces. This official visit weekend should be the nail in the coffin for that recruitment. So again, a really good list of offensive linemen that's going to be on campus. This class for Alex Atkins is shaping up to be a pretty good class in regards to the offensive line position. Let's go over to the defensive line and see what Coach Odell and Coach Pap have cooking. Javion Hilson, the 4-star defensive end and #1 edge rusher in the country, and FSU commit out of Cocoa, Florida. he's committed to FSU, right? Ended up decommitting from Alabama once Nick Saban retired and flipped completely to FSU. He did take some official visits over the summer as well. I think Texas is the biggest competitor for Jalen. Sorry, not Jalen. Sorry, for Javion Hilson. I think Texas is the biggest competitor. Took an official visit out there. Was kind of blown away with what they had to offer, but literally a few days after taking his official visit to Texas, he was back on FSU's campus for a big man camp and worked out for Coach Pap and Coach Martin Norvell. Got a good workout in and things like that. So that was very promising. Tweeted out a picture after that visit in regards to some other prospects we're going to talk about. And of course, he's on campus this weekend for his official visit. So I do think after that unofficial visit, technically when he was back on FSU, that kind of eased my mind a little bit. I do think FSU will go ahead and stick with his. I think Javion rather will go ahead and stick with his FSU commitment when it's all said and done. Jalen Wiggins, the four-star defensive end from Tallahassee, Florida, who is committed to the University of Florida. But again, this kid has been on campus a multitude of times as well. He's down there, lived on campus. So this official visit will be no stranger to him. It'd be good to get the parents on campus, get the full scope and what FSU have to offer. Now, I spoke previously about Javion Hilson being on campus and taking a picture with some prospects. It was a picture of him and Jalen Wiggins and Coach Pap, and he was pretty much trying to recruit Wiggins to Tallahassee. Well, not to Tallahassee, to FSU rather. So again, I think FSU is in a good spot for Wiggins, even though he's committed to the University of Florida. We'll see if they can make a move after this weekend. Let's go to the defensive tackle room. Myron Charles, four-star defensive tackle out of Port Charlotte. This kid is 6'4", 295 pounds. Took official visits to Bama, Texas, University of Florida, and the University of Miami. I think FSU is in a good spot here. Coach Odell's doing a hell of a job recruiting him and, of course, preaching the development aspect in regards to the defensive end we have put out over the defensive tackles, rather, we have put out over the years. So we'll see how this official visit for Myron shapes up and see if we can go ahead and lock up his commitment. Kevin Wynn, another defensive tackle, 6'2", 320 pounds, out of Georgia as well. You have Texas, the University of Georgia, and South Carolina are the other teams that's in his recruitment. Big-time playmaker. I think FSU is in a very good spot here. So he's on campus taking his official visit. We'll see what that does for FSU as it concludes. Let's move over to the offensive position and the most important position overall. Not position group. Like I stated, the offensive line is the most important position group as a whole. But, of course, the most important position on the football field is the quarterback position, right? And Tramel Jones, he's on campus for his official visit. Also, Tramel Jones, he's had a busy damn week, right? He just got to Tallahassee from California. He was out competing at the Elite 11 events. And as you guys know, Elite 11 is where some of the best quarterbacks in the country come and compete and go through different drills, gauntlets, and things like that and get rated on the scale as far as the Elite 11 quarterbacks. And he finished 6th at the Elite 11, which is damn good for a quarterback. I think we should see a jump in his recruiting rankings for sure across the board. But nonetheless, he is on campus for his official visit to FSU. There's been a lot of smoke and chatter around other schools that's been recruiting him, and specifically the University of Florida. He did take an unofficial to Florida earlier in the month. We'll see if FSU can knock out this official visit rather out of the park and go ahead and lock things down officially with Tramel. But in my opinion, I do think he currently sticks with FSU. But when you have a quarterback that's taking visits and doing things like that at this point in time, it's not a good thing, but it's not a terrible thing. You guys remember last year, Penn State was recruiting Luke Cromelhawk, and hell, even leading up to signing day, and it wasn't very much publicized, but leading up to signing day, the Georgia Bulldogs did a pretty good push down the stretch to try to get Luke Cromelhawk to flip, but nonetheless, he ended up sticking with FSU, didn't really entertain the message or offer from the University of Georgia. So I said it to say this, I think Tramel Jones, he's going to get recruited to the end until he actually signs, but I do think he sticks with FSU when it's all said and done. Let's stick with the receiver position. Vernell Brown, 4-star receiver out of Orlando Jones. This is a big-time playmaker. He was also in California with Tramel Jones. They've grown very close. The Elite 11 allows you to bring 2 pass catchers with you, and Tramel Jones chose his teammate Jamie French and also Vernell Brown. So they have a very good relationship and things like that. But Vernell Brown, I think it's a lot of University of Florida smoke leading up to him. As you guys know, his dad is a former University of Florida Gator, played for the Gators Vernell Brown II. He was a defensive back for the Gators, and also his grandfather played for the Florida Gators as well. So it's a Florida and FSU battle at this point in time, but I probably give the edge to the University of Florida. University of Miami and Ohio State are other teams that's in his recruitment as well. Dalen McCutcheon, four-star receiver out of Texas, big-time playmaker. I like this kid a lot. Very fluid, runs nice routes. USC, Ohio State, and Texas are other schools that's in his recruitment and that he's considering. I think FSU is in a very good spot for this kid too. Even though he's based in Texas, he has a lot of Florida ties with family that stays in the Fort Lauderdale area. So I think FSU is in a good spot here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a couple crystal balls dropped in favor for FSU for Dalen McCutcheon. So I think if FSU does a good job in preaching the message and showing how he fits within the scheme of FSU, I think FSU would be in a good spot leading up to his commitment. So that's something to watch for as well. We got another four-star receiver on campus, C.J. Wiley, four-star out of Alpharetta, Georgia, 6'4", 195 pounds. He has a Final Three of LSU, University of Georgia, and FSU. Dugas is doing a good job as far as casting a wide net of receivers. We'll see if we can do something with this one. I do think Georgia may be the lead for this kid currently, but we'll see as the official visits conclude. Hollis Davidson, three-star tight end, 6'5", 238 pounds. This is a kid that was previously committed to the University of Auburn, but was taking visits to FSU over the spring and things like that. After taking a short visit to FSU in the spring, he decommitted from Auburn and kind of opened up his recruitment, and the momentum for FSU started to build. Like I said, he's taking an official visit to FSU this weekend. He did take an official visit to the University of Florida, Auburn, and the University of Georgia. Kind of got his recruitment late and scheduled an official visit. But nonetheless, I think FSU is in a good spot. We'll see how things shake up post-official visit. Byron Lewis, four-star running back out of American Heritage. This recruitment has been trending in FSU's direction since the spring. We garnered a lot of momentum over the spring for Byron Lewis, big-time playmaker out of American Heritage. The University of Miami was seen to be the team that was next to FSU in his recruitment, but the Georgia Bulldogs have made some steam as of late, getting him on campus for an official visit. But I do think FSU is still in a good spot. We'll see how things shake up post-visit. But yeah, Byron Lewis is on campus as well. His teammate, Gregory Xavier Thomas, 6'2", 109 defensive back out of American Heritage as well. FSU has recruited him to play safety. Pat Surtain was the former head coach of American Heritage of both of these guys, so that relationship is there as well. He just recently dropped the top two of Clemson and FSU. He will be making his commitment on June the 30th. I like where FSU stands here. It's been a multitude of picks in FSU's favor, and this kid here is also part of the Seminole tribe as well, which is really cool. So I think FSU is getting a big-time playmaker when he does commit, and Xavier Thomas. He's on campus for his official visit this weekend. Shamar Arnox, four-star defensive back out of Georgia, 6'2", 170 pounds, Carrollton, Georgia at that. USC Trojans and the Auburn Tigers are the two schools that's in the thick of his recruitment. I would say probably Auburn has the biggest shot to get Shamar next to FSU. But this is an interesting one. He took a camp to FSU previously in June, impressed the coaches, and the offer and official visit was scheduled immediately. This kid is very long, 6'2", like I said, very fluid in his drills. Looked good from some of the clips I saw at FSU. We will see if they could get into this recruitment and shake some things up. I said this before. I think FSU has a very expansive defensive backboard, cornerback and safety. I haven't seen a kid or a film from the defensive backs that we've been recruiting that I would not take. I really like every one of the kids that we're recruiting as far as from a film standpoint with limited spots. I think we take 1 to 2 corners and maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 safeties. So like I said, limited spots within the defensive back room, but a very expansive and deep board. So that's a good thing for FSU whenever that time comes for these kids to start making their decisions. We're going to jump into a couple linebackers to wrap things up. Gavin Nix, four-star linebacker out of IMG, 6 foot, 225 pounds. University of Miami and the University of Oregon are the two schools other than FSU that's in its recruitment. I think the University of Miami has the momentum leading to the official visit. As far as this kid, I would probably say the pick would be Miami at this point in time. We'll see how things can shake up for FSU post-official visit. But Gavin Nix, four-star linebacker out of IMG. And probably the most important recruit on campus from the defensive side this weekend, Tavion Wallace, 6'1", 215, four-star linebacker out of Georgia. He's been an FSU lean for quite some time, big-time playmaker in the position of need. I think he is the number one linebacker on the board. FSU has been recruiting him for a long time, like I stated. University of Arkansas, Georgia, and Florida, other teams in his recruitment. The University of Florida has been picking up steam within this recruitment. I think they're catching up to FSU as far as from a momentum standpoint. His father grew up a Florida Gators fan, and I think he grew up a Florida Gators fan as well, just, following after his father up in Georgia. So long story short, FSU has been a leader in this recruitment throughout. This weekend is going to be key for FSU to try to lock things up as Florida has gained some steam, some momentum over the summer. So a very big official visit weekend for Tavion Wallace. We'll see as things wrap up this Sunday and how the official visit shakes. He does commit July the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if FSU did enough this weekend to lock things up with Tavion Wallace. So like I said, we covered a lot of kids within the last couple of weeks, right? In regards to official visits. I think FSU did a good job in regards to scheduling these visits in a certain way. So we'll see how things pay off. We will see a lot of commitments within the month of July and August, maybe a little bit at the tail end of June. But it's going to be a very interesting next month and a half or so for FSU as they try to get some returns from these official visits. And of course, we'll have you covered. So make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Go Noles.